happened when you called Rosalind.
Say, Sydney, Will would like us to come over. Would you want to? I had told him to say, well, maybe not, you know. But he said yes right away. He must have been thinking of the food. He said, oh, sure.
That's all we have to tell you from London. Late this night, late this stormy night. But we'll be back again next time when Dracula reappears.
What is this?
Come on.
Happy 30 cents.
When you're sick and you have somebody who comes and really concerned and you know it and they come regularly and it is of
Kiss. Here.
you came so often.
What's Mary using? What's that thing that Mary has? What's that? Right. Very good at manipulating. Helicopter. See, that's a helicopter.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Eddie and me and Mary have been talking about Mama. I was her baby, and I felt like that. I felt like she loved me very much, and I felt very protected. Her heart was rich, you know. It was a very rich heart. It was like anybody who came into her presence felt her love. All my girlfriends and Eddie's boyfriends, she looked at each person individually. She appreciated what each person had, and she enjoyed them. Her grandfather, who was a healer, he was a rabbi and he was a healer, and he took her hand when she was young, and he read her palm, and that's how she became interested in palmistry. He told her her future, and so then she studied palmistry, and she got me involved in it also, and I became a palmist. Later in life, she got involved in handwriting analysis when she went down to Florida. The other thing I wanted to say about Mother, for me, was I was her listener. I was her baby and I was her listener, and my friends also, we were all her listeners, because the way she told the story was so rich and so exciting that you would be there with her, and mostly I remember her romantic tales, because she was a romantic. And
3 syllables. First syllable. So.
Tie. Tie. Second syllable.
Pick.
Pick. Dick.
Pick.
Prick. Sick.
Tie.
Hit. Wick. Mick.
Tie blank.
Chick. Wick. Ick.
Tie.
Ick. Ick.
Titanic!
Alright!
No, this is Helen, the goddess.
Okay.
In this chair.
Is that the?
Mary, the goddess, who's in the water goddess. So.
Is that also a chamber?
Tell the girls about the beads.
Is that? Okay.
I would like to tell you a little bit about these beads that I'm wearing.
Hold on a minute.
These beads, very broad. They're from Mama, and Mama got them from Uncle Danny. And these were actually my favorite color beads. This particular necklace I always loved, but these ones have a heavier gold, whatever they call these things.
Sure.
And by accident, I happened to take this particular outfit to wear on the trip. I thought if we go out to dinner, I'd have something, and sure enough, it goes perfectly with Uncle Danny's beads.
These are the Kritzler sun bunnies over here.
what I remember, what I was telling Mary, one of the moments that I remember with Mary, and for me it was a very special moment. We were walking along together on a sidewalk, I think right opposite the house at North Belmore.
Going to school?
I don't know where we were walking, but I think I was skipping. And suddenly I looked down and I saw $1 or a $10 bill. And we were both very, very excited about it. So that's, for some reason, that really stuck in my mind. I was
4.5 years older than Helen. And I used to be the big sister. And I was a reader, and I loved to read. And I thought playing with dolls was such a baby thing. It was only for little girls. And so I told Helen, Helen, you can't read books. You can't play with dolls anymore. That's for a baby. And Helen was very disappointed because she loved her dolls. She had a whole collection of dolls.
So what happened to me was when I was 6 years old, I went to camp, summer camp, for 3 weeks, so sleepover camp. And Mary told me, you know, it was a disgrace to play with dolls. So I left all my dolls home. And I go to camp, and of course every little girl there has a bed full of dolls, and I have none. And I cried. I was very, very, you know, the whole thing was traumatic for me anyway, that it's a little too young to go to sleepaway camp. But one of the things that I did, even at that age, was I remember this also, I took care of when the other little girls were crying and missing their mothers, I would go over and be their mother. You know, I was very mothering at 6. So it's interesting how you develop these personalities very young.
Did you retain that, or did you use that up?
Well, I think I do that when I read my poems.
Oh,
You know, I mean, I think that's part of why people like to come to me as a palmist. I'm very, you know,
Mothering and war.
well, very accepting and very inspirational.
But we're talking now,
You know,
Sidra, you have to sit down.
And they feel very comfortable with me. They feel very relaxed with me. So I think some of those things show up.
And why our friends would love to come to the house. Because Mother and Dad participated. Mother would come out with her little pizza
Right, those things.
tidbit, mini pizza things. And Dad and all my friends loved it because we had 2 couches diagonally across from each other. And we'd always go in the living room and have discussions.
And in fact, one of my friends, Marilyn Vasta, who didn't know Mom, stood up and said, she said, you know, I really appreciate your mom because I learned how to mother through seeing how much love Helen would give. You know, most of my friends felt so accepted and free. I mean, that was the other thing. You know, they could drop things, they could break things, they could mess things up. The rest of the words, I don't really know for you. Can't be here on the street where you live. But I know that towering feeling, just to know somehow you are near. The overpowering feeling that any second you will suddenly appear. People stop and stare. Come on, you sing. They don't bother me, 'cause there's somewhere else on earth that I would rather be. Let the time go